Former prosecutor and Pierce County Executive John Ladenburg was an instrumental part of getting the center up and going. When we initially didn't get the federal funding, John stepped up and said, "We're going to fund this anyway." And from there, we have pursued plans with the city of Tacoma to share the funding responsibility. John believed in this concept from the very beginning, and truly helped to lead the charge to see it through. And friends, watching this develop, I will say, without the efforts of John Ladenburg and Connie Ladenburg, we wouldn't have gotten to the point we are today. We owe a great debt of gratitude to John and Connie. Ladies and gentlemen, Pierce County Executive John Ladenburg.
Thank you. This is a great day for Tacoma and Pierce County and for the people that have worked so tirelessly in the field of domestic violence. And I see a lot of you out there, people that have advocates, workers who have been working on this problem in the community for a long, long time. And I'm reminded that the idea of combining facilities, combining forces, having the police work with the prosecutors directly and with the advocates is not something new. It's been a long road to get us to this point. It was 13 years ago when Tacoma and Pierce County's headlines were about gangs and drugs and drive-by shootings and homicides of that nature, when I remember working with my staff and statistical analysis to figure out how we could reduce the level of violence in Tacoma and Pierce County. And the staff came back to me, and to their and our surprise, they said, it's not the drugs and the gangs and the violence that they commit, it's domestic violence. At that time, 13 years ago, the #1 killer of people in Pierce County was domestic violence. We discovered that the #1 cause of assault cases in our district courts and superior courts was domestic violence. And so we started to focus on domestic violence. 12 years ago, we sent a team headed up by Judge Larkin to San Diego to find out what others were doing in this arena. And that team came back and said, there's all kinds of things we can do, but one of them is we need to get the people working in the arena together. The cops ought to be side by side with the prosecutors, side by side with the advocates, side by side with the nonprofits. And so we thought about the idea of trying to do that. The first way we could do that, we set up the initial center in the basement of the county city building, the first floor of the county city building, and got the prosecutors from my office, newly formed domestic violence unit, together with the sheriff's officers from their domestic violence unit, together with advocates from our office, and started this concept rolling. And it's been growing ever since then. So I want to recognize, first of all of those people, Domestic Violence Commission members and others who are in the audience, advocates and others. If you just raise your hand and get recognized, please, it's all about you. Raise your hand, your umbrella, wave, hands over there. I see the people. It's all about those people that are going to continue to work in this center and do what Dave said, end domestic violence, because it is still the #1 killer. It's still the #1 driver of assaults in our courts. And we need to focus on that. We need to focus on the reality of what goes on in our community, not what may seem to be the flavor of the day. So I congratulate all of you who have worked so hard to get this in place now, and let's make it as successful as we can be. And let's remember that the job isn't done here today. There's going to be more funding requests, Norm. There's going to be more efforts on the county council level, on the city council level, to keep the funding, to keep the officers in place, to keep the advocates in place. And for the greater community, your job is to make sure that those nonprofits that are represented here have money to do the job too. So you have a duty to reach out to the nonprofits and give them the resources that they need to do this job. Thank you very much.